It's a great day, sports world. What's up to all the sports lovers, haters, addicts, and fanatics out there? This is Larry Patterson coming to you for GT365. That's Game Time 365 Sports, live here on the GTSN. That's the Game Time Sports Network. And you're watching 32 teams in 32 days, Chicago Bears edition. This team started out 5-5 last year. They clinched the playoffs at an 8-8 record, barely getting in by the hairs of their chinny chin chin. Lost to the Saints in the wild card round, 21-9. With not a lot of offensive firepower, with not a run game, just leaning on the heels of the defense. And it's been that way for as long as I can remember, because I never heard of Chicago having an offense, a dynamic offense, offense that scores 20 plus points a game. Haven't seen it. So with that being said, let's go to that quarterback play last year. Who had a 2-5 record in his starts. He had 64 completion percentage, 1,852 yards, 10 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Those were his numbers last year. And then you had Mitch Trubisky, who had a 6-3 record. He had a 67 completion percentage, passed for 2,055 yards, 16 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. So, and he basically got him to the playoffs, even with his inconsistent play. He's gone now. So he's with the Bills organization. He lit up Chicago last week, I want to say. I guess in a payback situation game. It was preseason. So, but the key additions to this team, you got Andy Dalton, who now is the starting quarterback. Matt Nagy already has stated that. Andy Dalton has passed for 4,000 yards twice in his career. That was in 2013 and 2016. I remember one year he had 19 touchdowns and 17 interceptions, and he still managed to make a Pro Bowl. So somebody must have been playing in the Super Bowl, or I guess just a lot of quarterbacks didn't want to play that year. But 19 touchdowns and 17 interceptions, I didn't think you made the Pro Bowl with those numbers, but he made it. Last year he passed for 2,170 yards, 14 touchdowns, 8 interceptions for the Dallas Cowboys last season, which was a season he wasn't supposed to start in, but with the injury to Dak Prescott, it slid him in. And then they had multiple quarterbacks in that whole situation over there. So Dalton wasn't the sole starter over there. But now he comes in as the Bears starter this year. And trying to help out a offense that ranked 22nd in the pass and 25th in the run. Offensive line has been crappy. It's been crappy for a number of years, and it doesn't seem to be changing, at least right now. On third downs, this team offensively was ranked 31st. On fourth downs, they were ranked 12th. And in the red zone, they were ranked 22nd. So that tells you a lot right there. Key additions for this squad, as I said, Andy Dalton, Marquise Goodwin, who has not played football in a number of years, whether it was injury. He opted out due to COVID last year, his decision, and you can't argue with that. So I know he was supposed to be with one team one year, and then he kind of like switched back, and then he didn't even play. So hopefully we get to see the speedy wide receiver this year in Marquise Goodwin. Demir Bird, who's another wide receiver, came over from New England, um, who can add maybe some special teams or another speedy slot, um, option there. Desmond Trufant, cornerback, who played in Atlanta for a number of years, went to Detroit last year, didn't work out. Now he's in Chicago, a better defensive system for him. So we'll see how that works out. Angelo Blackson, who it was a depth defensive end over in Houston, he comes over to Chicago. Damian Williams, who had a impressive days in Kansas City, even in the postseason when Kansas City won the Super Bowl. I think he should have won the Super Bowl MVP, but Patrick Mahomes won. So he also opted out last year, and hopefully he can still bring his dynamic quickness and elusiveness to this team as maybe a second option to David Montgomery. Christian Jones, a linebacker from Detroit, he comes over, and then Elijah Wilkinson, who basically can be used as depth. He came over from the Denver Broncos. No more than a depth guy. He could get some starts in, but we'll see how that goes. Key departures for this team: Mitch Trubisky, as I talked about him earlier. Anthony Miller, who was traded for, I want to say last year, not last year, like last month. Jeremiah Atachu, who played with Denver last year, also played in the Chargers organization for a long time too. Kyle Fuller, who was their top corner for a number of years. Roy Robertson Harris, who went to Jacksonville. Brent Urban, I think he went to Dallas. Buster Screen, not sure where he is right now. And then Ted Ginn Jr., who I forgot was even in the league last year. He, in his career, never topped over 800 yards. He came close. I think he had 790 in like 1 year. I want to say 2000, like early 2007, 8, 9, around that time. And then he had another 787, I want to say in 2015. Maybe I think it was the last year that it was in the Cam Newton years in Carolina. And I want to say it was a couple years after that he went to the Super Bowl. But he retires. No more than a second, maybe third option in his career. More of a special teamer also. So those are your key additions and departures for this ball club. Let's get to the offense. Let's get to this offense. As we stated before, Andy Dalton. He comes in year number 11, and he takes over the quarterback duties. Justin Fields, who was just drafted, they traded up to get him, and he's been having a pretty up and down preseason, but nevertheless, Chicago Bears fans want to see him, and I want to see him too. I just hope that it's not week 11, 12, 13, around that time when Chicago's well out of the playoff race before you start to put this guy in. I hope they have enough sense to put this guy in a little bit more soon, because at the end of the day, their jobs are on the line. And what way do you if Andy Dalton is not working out, don't be stubborn. Just get him out of there and put Justin Fields in. But you know how coaches can do sometimes, how they can be, how stubborn they can be, how they want to stay within the same system and dealing with the same quarterback and hoping for different results, but it never happens. So let's hope for the best for I want to see Justin Fields on the field this year. I think he can bring a very dynamic change to this whole offense, especially something that they need. The offensive line already is kind of, holy. So Nick Foles being the third quarterback in this system going into year number 10. Running backs, Tariq Cohen, who missed most of last season with an injury. You got David Montgomery going into year number 3. He had he went over 1,000 yards last year. He had 800 the year before. So and he's got a chip on his shoulder this year because a lot of when a lot of experts and analysts come up with these top 10 running backs conversation, he's not really mentioning it. One, because he plays with Chicago. For two, his numbers. You know what I'm saying? But he can do it on both sides. He can do it as a runner and he can do it as a passer too. So I definitely did have him in my top 10. A lot of people don't. And I can understand why. He's playing in Chicago. But I'm definitely looking for David Montgomery to have a better year, and hopefully his line will help him out a little bit. Behind him, you got Damian Williams going to year number 7, Artavius Pierce going into year number 2, Ryan Nall going into year number 3, and then you picked up Khalil Herbert, the rookie out of Virginia Tech, who's been flashing at camp, who had a pretty good game this past weekend. He's also been doing some special teams work also. So kudos to Khalil Herbert. Maybe he can get him a nice a third running back role, maybe landing him a spot on special teams. You land your spot on special teams, depending on how you do. You could be on you could get some offensive snaps. So let's hope for the best for these kids. Wide receiver position, and it's one of the positions that I like. Starting with Allen Robinson, going into year number 8. Allen Robinson had 151 targets for 102 receptions, 1,250 yards, 6 touchdowns. He had a career high of 1,400 yards in 2015 when he was in Jacksonville. So he got franchise tagged, rightfully so. I just wish that he had a better quarterback to throw him the ball. And that's something Allen Robinson has not had his whole career. He had Blake Bortles in Jacksonville. And now you dealt with Mitch Trubisky for 2 years. And now you're ready to deal with Andy Dalton. So Allen Robinson, Rodney Adams going into year number 2, Demir Bird coming over. Marquise Goodwin, let's hope he plays. John Vaya Johnson, Chris Lacey going into year number 2. Darnell Mooney, who had like 600 some odd yards last year, going into year number 2. Let's hope he has a better year, a good year this year. You get Anthony Miller out, who eliminates some of those snaps or some of those looks. So now you bring in Darnell Mooney, who he flashed last year, but now he gets even more because now your second option is gone. Riley Ridley, who I thought was going to get more opportunities, he's going into year number 3, and hopefully he will this year. But he's speedy and he has a lot of talent in him, and I just hope he sees the field this year. Then you bring in Daz Newsome, who's a rookie out of North Carolina. He flashed during the mini camp, and then he had a collarbone injury going into the preseason. But he looks like he's pretty good now. So let's hope for the best for him. Isaiah Coulter going into year number 2, who played with Houston. He was actually a part of Houston like early in the preseason. But with their wide receiver situation going on, it's just the room is so crowded. And he didn't get a lot of snaps last year. I don't even think he got any offensive snaps last year. If any snaps that he did get, it was in special teams. But now he's going into a different situation, and hopefully he can get some kind of snaps. Javon Wims going into year number 3, and that is your wide receiver group. It was a very underrated group. Now, if that quarterback situation can really pan out, then I can say this team, this offensive, this wide receiver unit can be very efficient this year. Tight ends, Jimmy Graham going into year number 12. Jimmy Graham going into year number 12. He had over 400 yards last year. He had a good number of touchdowns. I want to say it was 6. Not sure. Scooter Harrington going into year number 1. He's a rookie. J.P. Holtz going into year number 3. Jesper Horsted, Cole Kmet going into year number 2. And then Jesse James going into year number 6. Now, with Jimmy Graham, he was targeted 76 times last year. He had 50 catches, 456 yards, 8 touchdowns. So I knew I was right in somewhere in that range. Cole Kmet, 44 targets, who was a rookie last year, 44 targets. He had 28 catches for 243 yards and 2 touchdowns. Not what you want to really see, but I think he gets better this year. I think there's going to be a nice little tight end unit if everything can come together. This team got some talent. It just lacks the quarterback position, and then the offensive line is just not as good. Speaking of offensive line, at the center position, you got Sam Mustipher going to year number 2, Adam Redmond going to year number 3, Cody Whitehair going to year number 5. At the guard spot, you got Alex Bars going to year number 3, James Daniels year number 4, Dieter Esselin going to year number 2, Arlington Hambright going to year number 2, Jermaine Ifedi going to year number 6, and I think he's hurt right now. You got Larry Borum, who's a rookie. Tevin Jenkins, who's had a back surgery early in the offseason, kind of pushed him back a little bit. So they're not sure if he's going to be around this year or if they're going to have to just put him on the shelf and just, risk this year and just wait till next year. But it's good that they were thinking in the right direction with an offensive lineman, because that's something that they really don't do, because they always try to go so cheap, whether it's spending a late round pick on them or going after tier 3 and 4 guys in free agency that just don't pan out at all. So you bring him over, and maybe we see him this year. But I'm pretty sure, don't be surprised if you don't see Tevin Jenkins at all this year. Lashavius Simmons going to year number 2, who's also a tackle. Badera Traore, Tyrone Wheatley Jr., Elijah Wilkinson, and Jason Peters, who was bought over not too long ago, going into year number 18. And he'll probably more than likely get the starting left tackle spot. So that's some veteran leadership on the offensive line right there. Jason Peters is a Super Bowl champion. He's been in this for a minute, and hopefully he can rally those guys to play a lot better this year. Defensively, this team was ranked 12th in the pass. They were ranked 15th in the run. Defensively on third down, they were ranked 8th. On fourth down, they were ranked 20th, and in the red zone, they were ranked 5th. So that tells you right there that was a pretty not a shutdown defense, but a very efficient defense. They definitely knew how to get you off the field, especially if you ranked at 8th on third downs. That's top 10, baby. Going with the defense here. Defensive end, Angelo Blackson, as we said, coming over from Houston. Mario Edwards going into year number 7. LaCale London Going into year number 2, Daniel Archibong, who's a rookie at the defensive tackle spot. Eddie Goldman, who opted out last year. He returns for year number 6 and bringing a lot to that defensive front, who I said ranked 15th against the run. If you had Eddie Goldman there, you probably would have been top 10. So now he's back to plug those holes up. Akeem Hicks going into year number 10. Sam Kamara, who's a rookie. Bilal Nichols going to year number 4. Mike Pennell going to year number 8. And then a rookie you drafted, Kyrus Tonga. At the linebacker spot, Jeremiah Atachu, Austin Calitro, Travis Gibson, Caleb Johnson, who's a rookie, Joel Unyiwe going into year number 4, Christian Jones going into year number 8, Khalil Mack going into year number 8. Khalil Mack led the team last year with 9 sacks. So he had his career high was 15 in 2015. And just so happened the Raiders won him back. They're trying to create some kind of trade for him. I don't think it's going to work out. Robert Quinn going to year number 11. Roquan Smith going to year number 4. He led the team in tackles. Then you got Charles Snowden, rookie from UVA, who I think could bring some good pass rush ability, whether it's whether he's a rotational guy or whether he's on special teams, but I think he could make an impact on this team somehow, some way. Danny Trevathan going into year number 10 as one of those leaders on the defense. James Walters, Josh Woods going to year number 2, and then Alec Ogletree going into year number 9. Those are your linebackers. Cornerbacks, Artie Burns coming over from the Steelers. He's going into year number 6. Xavier Crawford going into year number 2. Thomas Graham, who's a rookie. Jalen Johnson, who I'm very impressed with last year. He was a rookie, but he got whatever he got against him. You know what I'm saying? He played like a rookie, but he also showed a lot of potential. He had 15 pass deflections as a rookie, 78 times targeted, 44 completed against. And that was like, I want to believe at a 56%. So anytime you in those 56 to 60% range, it means your numbers are pretty good. It means you're pretty nice. And I'm expecting a big year out of Jalen Johnson as he probably take either the cornerback 1 or the cornerback 2 spot. But I definitely see him stepping up this year. Michael Joseph going to year number 2. Trey Robertson. Duke Shelley going to year number 3. Tease Tabor going to year number 3. Desmond Trufant going to year number 9. And then Kinder Vildor, who's a rookie. So we'll see how that goes. Deion Bush at the safety position going to year number 6. Marquis Christian going to year number 5. Tayshaun Gibson Sr. going to year number 10. DeAndre Houston Carson going to year number 6. I think he could play linebacker and safety. Eddie Jackson, we already know about him. He going to year number 5. And then Jordan Luke is going into year number 5 also. Special teamers, you got Brian Johnson, who's a rookie. And you got Cairo Santos, who did a pretty exceptional job last year, going to year number 7, and Pat O'Donnell going into year number 8 as their punter. For the first 5 games for this team, they are at the Rams, the first game of the season. So with that offensive line looking the way it's looking, and Aaron Donald being the first person that you had to deal with, that's a bummer. And I think that might be on a Sunday night. And for the last 3 seasons, these two teams have been playing on primetime games. I want to say the Bears got the first one, the Rams got the second one. either way, they've been playing quite a bit over these past couple years, and they've been very defensive matchups. But then the Rams got the better of them last year when the Bears still had the opportunity to win. But it sucks when your defense just you have to lean on your defense all the time, every year. When does it change? Hopefully it changes this year. Then you got the Bengals. You win week 2 at the Browns in week 3. You face the Lions, and then you are at the Raiders in week 5. So Khalil Mack goes to he goes back to his organization that drafted him, not the same area, but then he goes back to the Raiders. And hopefully they'll show him some love. It wasn't his fault he got traded, right? So as I said, at the Rams, Bengals, at the Browns, Lions, and then at the Raiders. So that's a little bit of a tough spot right there, especially with the Lions, because you don't know what you're going to get out of your division opponents. They know you best. So I can definitely see this team maybe winning 2 games. Maybe 3. I can see 3. But to deal with Aaron Donald and then to deal with Trey Hendrickson and then to deal with Myles Garrett, that's kind of a tough task for an offensive lineman. For the rookies, Justin Fields selected in round 1, round 2, Tevin Jenkins, who probably won't see the field this year. Hope he does. It'll be later on, but let's hope he does. But don't be surprised if you don't see him. Larry Bourne, offensive tackle out of Missouri, drafted in round number 5. They had 3 6th-round picks. Khalil Herbert was the first, running back out of Virginia Tech. Daz Newsome, wide receiver out of North Carolina. And then Thomas Graham Jr., who's a cornerback out of Oregon, who they really love. And then in round 7, they drafted Khyiris Tonga, defensive tackle out of BYU, who could eventually see a lot of snaps this year. Maybe he'd probably be behind Eddie Goldman and Bilal Nichols. But say if one of those guys go out, then he could see some snaps. So there's a lot of talent with this team, and let's just hope that they put it together. But as for right now, with the offensive line situation, it's like that's the only thing that's holding this team back. But hopefully these guys will do better than what I'm predicting or the way I'm seeing it. And we'll see. For GT365, that's GameTime 365 Sports, live here on the GTSN. That's the GameTime Sports Network. I'm your man, Larry Patterson. Until next time.